Looks like we have the whole Spencer Johnson family there. Hello. Hello to you all.
We are on, Gilbert.
Mona, what happened to your mace?
Gilbert, we're on?
It's just
We're on.
We're on. Okay.
Yeah.
Amitofo. Welcome to you all. This is going to be a lecture on the 10 great aspirations of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. We start our class with a vow and also the recitation of the 4 great vows. So please join your palms and vow. 4 great vows. I vow to deliver innumerable sentient beings of self-nature. I vow to cut off endless vexations of self-nature. I vow to master limitless approaches to Dharma of self-nature. I vow to attain supreme Buddhahood of self-nature. Okay, again, welcome to you all. This is a class after a couple of times I've been gone, and I trusted you've been in great hands with Santha. Santha is a teacher in her own right with her own group, so I really didn't have a chance to be able to listen to her, but one of these days when I'm on a retreat, I'll try to tune in. In any case, we're going to cover a bit of ground here, and I wanted to go over the 10 great vows of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva in Chinese is Pushen Pusa. Pusa means Bodhisattva. Pushen is the name of Samantabhadra in Chinese. Pushen Pusa is one of the great bodhisattvas that is very much revered in many different types of practices, particularly so in Mahayana practice, because of the demonstration of the practice moment to moment. And he is considered to be the action bodhisattva, where Manjusri is for wisdom, Guanyin is for compassion, Dizan Pusa, Erstor Bodhisattva, is for helping people in the underworld. Pushen Pusa is one that is represents this great samadhi and entering into samadhi. This is important because there's different ways in when we talk about samadhi. There's so depending on which doctrine you talk about, there are various types of samadhis, and some are good, some are bad, some are beginning, some go into a deeper way of this kind of a concentration, which is samatha leading into samadhi. And when you get to this point of this samadhi, then there's an ability to reach higher levels of samapati, but these levels are beyond the 4 jhanas that are commonly referred to, and they are there after one has reached upeka. Then there are these other samadhis, but they are not something that one can practice or do. That they are actually a revelation of mind itself. It's not and should not be considered a state of mind as much as it is a revelation of mind to mind. But Pushen Pusa is one in which shows us how to practice. Sometimes you will see Pushen's name referred to, such as in the Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, as universal worthy. In the Flower Adornment Sutra, there is this famous 10 vows that Pushen Pusa makes. And I wanted to pull the original text, but there's all sorts of lists of that, and I'll kind of resort to some of those lists today as we go through it. But I wanted to go to the original version, if there, you can say an original version, a version in which there is appears in the text of the Flower Adornment Sutra. And did you cue that up at all? Okay, we're gonna go to it. That way you can follow along. This is as close as I get to PowerPoints. Okay, thank you very, and again, thank you, Santa, for the last minute. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Go ahead and scroll. And then we go to the text right there. Bring the text all the way up to the top. This is okay. And this one corresponds with, and I will use some of the other ones that mention these vows. One of them is says to venerate the Buddhas, and another one is to pay homage to the Buddhas. So here it is paying homage to the Buddhas. And of course, it is natural that we would start in this way and pay homage to the Buddhas, because that is the manner in which we make a connection with the Buddha, but we also venerate or give great respect. So it starts off, body, speech, and mind purified in oneness. Now, right from the very beginning, you see something very interesting, because this is what I'm constantly mentioning about what one practices, that this is the function of mind. When we talked about before, Tiong, T-I-Y-O-N-G, the Y-O-N-G is the essence. So they're already pointing, he's already pointing to the essence. He doesn't lose time at all to talk about this and saying body, speech, and mind is purified in oneness. So this is the oneness, the one that we talk about, that is the one that returns to the source. And so even though it appears to be that there's essence and function, all of that returns to the source. All of that, then this body, speech, and mind is a demonstration of the practice. This is something that I've been really hitting on for the last few months, that we must demonstrate the practice. We don't try to copy it or replicate in any way as if we were an actor, that to try to play like a Buddha or a Bodhisattva by acting like one. It is a demonstration through body, speech, and mind. And here's where we have it's purified, meaning that those paramitas are perfected. I bow deeply to touch the limitless Buddhas. Again, this is making obsequence of respect to the Buddhas, and say these Buddhas, they have no limit. It's infinite. All of them have this in their essence or nature, is that they're signless or formless. They're inconceivable, and yet they're immutable. These are big words, but what they mean, immutable, means they don't change. What changes is the illusions in the mind, but the mind itself does not change. And then it continues, of the past, present, and future. Again, so when we talk about these limitless Buddhas, we already are breaking down the constructs of this world. In the constructs of this world, we are always doing something and approaching it going in a linear way. And so all of this is just kind of a linear processing of information that goes through what we believe to be the consciousness of mind, but it's actually a manufactured consciousness of ego, personality, life, or being. And so when we let go of that, then the mind is able to reveal naturally the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. And we don't see that as an incongruity. We say, well, how do we hold on to this? Because if we tried to hold on to the past, the past is gone, the future hasn't come, and the present is this way. This is what Nagarjuna was doing in refuting the concept of time. But on another way, Nagarjuna uses the middle way, saying he's not necessarily negating the time, but negating that which appears to appear in mind, the consciousness and the consciousness of the passage of time or the coming of time. All of those things are perfectly within the Tathagata Garbha already. And so here, he's really working right away to say, okay, before we go on, we don't just say, the past, present, and future and read on without any kind of an understanding of what we're reading. It isn't in this way, is that we have to penetrate it. So throughout all the worlds in the 10 directions. Now, we're not talking about this world, the world, let's say, in Japan or Singapore and Taiwan or Europe, in the US, wherever, mentioning all worlds. We are not privy to this information. We're not privy to even be able to conceive of worlds beyond our worlds, unless you're a science fiction fan, and then they use their imagination to postulate there's a possibility of other worlds and what would those beings look like. But on the other hand, the Buddhists were so far ahead, 2,500 years ago, they're already talking about other worlds and other dimensions. What are the dimensions? We have the desire realm, the form realm, and the no form realm. So those are different ways of having sentient beings exist, and you could say they have their own worlds as well. And even within a world, there can be different worlds. And so when we talk about this and say in the 10 directions, it's referring to all the points, the cardinal points, and the, let's see, we could say northern, southern points and points in between. But in any case, all those points isn't meant to be that there is a center, as much as you could say mind is a center. It's a center without being a center. It's a center of the essence of the presence of mind, no matter which direction you go, not from one central point moving out. So this is the first one that we say to venerate. It continues, the power of Samantabhadra's vow enables me to present everywhere, to be present everywhere. So one is present everywhere. Where there is a Buddha, I am there. All Buddhas are countless, and so too am I. But when we look at it in this way and we say, if there's a Buddha there, then I am there too. Why is this? Because the mind that's listening to me right now, in all of you, is the Buddha mind. There's no difference, no distinguishment between your mind and the mind of a Buddha. The sutras constantly use this as a refrain. The masters in their treatises use it as a refrain that the mind of the Buddha and the patriarchs are no different than the mind of an, we'd say, quote unquote, ordinary sentient being. But in actuality, there's nothing ordinary about us at all. Although we see things ordinary and mundane, and in fact, in any kind of a revelation or realization, one sees everything as ordinary and mundane. But nevertheless, there is something there. There's what we can refer to as the super mundane, that is our true face, or our original face, which is the face of the Buddha. And so wherever there is, you could say, wherever there is, if there's an is, Buddha mind would be there first. So there cannot be an is place without the Buddha being present. The next one, in a particle of dust are countless Buddhas. In a particle of dust, they're not saying in particles of dust, they're saying in a particle of dust or a mote of dust, there are countless Buddhas. Imagine. All of them present with their own assembly. So they already have their own assembly. They have their own Buddha worlds. It is said that 5 billion Buddha worlds exist on a single strand of hair. How is that possible? If you come to one of my retreats, I will demonstrate it. I just did that last week and showed everyone how they could make 5 billion Buddha worlds fit on a single strand of hair. So something to think about. Sign up today. In any case, we continue. The strength of my faith penetrates deeply into every atom of all Dharma realms. So into every atom of all Dharma realms. So this is where we look at it and say, this is the strength of my faith. I aspire to use the great ocean of sound, giving rise to words of wonderful effect that praise the Buddha's oceans of virtues in the past, present, and future. So in this, what is happening, and this is praising the Buddha, or we could say to glorify the qualities of the Tathagata. And so this is referencing that. And so in this way, it's saying, aspire to use the great ocean of sound. Very interesting when we talk about things as the ocean of sound. We're talking about the mind and not necessarily the sounds, but the, how would we say it? The awareness of the mind of the sounds and the ability for it to manifest sound. You think that you make a sound. If I told you make the sound ah, you would go ah. See, I made the sound, but it's not really you that's making the sound. The mind makes the sound. The Buddha makes the sound. The Buddha is speaking. Sometimes the Buddha talks nonsense. That's only because it's caught up in a dream. Being caught up in a dream, it's unaware of its essence. So because you are unaware of your essence, sometimes you speak a lot of nonsense. Has any of you in your life ever not spoken one word of nonsense? That's what I thought. So, but that's okay. That's this world. Even in your dreams are nonsensical. They don't really exist. But who's to say that we're not in a dream right now? How much time expires or transpires in a dream? We have no idea. I always mention that people can have very elaborate dreams only to be awakened by the sound of your alarm clock. And was that whole elaborate dream that you had that went on for so long manufactured immediately when the alarm clock went off, simply to awaken the mind that there is an external noise that's coming in, meaning to wake up? It's very strange, right? But one day when that happens, to contemplate that. And so now the next one is, I aspire to use the great ocean. I bring these offerings, garlands of the most beautiful flowers, incense, music, perfumes, and parasols to all adorn the Tathagata and their lands. And this is very interesting because this is relating back to the name of the sutra, this incredibly vast Avatamsaka Sutra is the Flower Adornment Sutra. It is adorned by flowers. So anyone who hears this, let's say a goddess who would hear this, would immediately want to adorn the sounds of the sutra, the writings of the sutra, the presence of the sutra with flowers, and we offer incense and music, perfumes, parasols represent shading, a being, let's say a supreme being, in respect. And so these are all things that are that adorn the Avatamsaka Sutra, adorn the Buddha realms. And so here it is what is being offered. And if you look at an altar, you will find, for instance, mine has oranges right now. I have some flowers. I offer incense that's there. There's perfumes on there. I don't have any music there, but or parasols. But I am constantly adorning the altar behind me as an offering to the Buddhas, as an offering that this world will align itself with the Buddha wisdom and compassion. Then we read the next: bringing food, robes, fragrant flowers, torches, sandalwood, sitting mats, the finest adornment here in abundance, an offering to the Tathagata. So this is what we do, and we freely offer these. And if you see, sometimes you'll see altars, and they have precious things on them that are being given as offerings. And it's something that is given from the heart. Even in this world, we may offer something of what we consider to be of value, nothing, I would say, inappropriate, but a precious jewel can be on an altar being offered, not to be worn by a person, but just as an offering in this way. So these are things that we do to bring our humility to the proper level, that we want to humble ourselves before the Buddha, because the Buddha is this perfected practice that we aspire to. This is what these vows are. We're aspiring to get to this level. We're making these offerings because we see that these aspirations of carrying forth these vows are the aspirations that enable us to break through, to wake up from this world of illusion. Okay. Inspired by Samantabhadra's vow, I bring my heart wide with deep understanding, with loving faith in the Buddhas of the three times, as an offering to the Tathagatas everywhere. So this is how we present the offerings, is with a great sincerity that's there. We understand we're making a connection between the Buddha and this what we call Saha world, this world of suffering, and we're bringing it and saying, please, this needs to be worked on. It needs to be resolved. So we practice in this way. Okay, hold on. From beginningless time, I have acted unskillfully with craving, hatred, and ignorance in my actions of body, speech, and mind. Determined now to begin anew. I repent. And this is a very, very important part of this, which is that a shame and repentance practice, that we understand that in our practice that we confess our own misdeeds, and we vow to change. So this is something that's important. Once, as I was practicing, actually one master, this is before I met Master Sheng even, but the master was talking, and he said that you cannot put new wine in an old barrel without cleaning the barrel first. And that struck me so deep. It was probably the wisest thing that this master had ever told me, and it just resonated. It was from a Qigong master, but I'm going, wow, this is pretty deep. I want more of this. This is something, to understand this, that this is some part of our practice. Again, all of this is talking about our practice, that we praise and respect the Buddhas, we make offerings, but now we're looking at it and what are we going to do, not looking outward, but looking inward, and doing a shame and repentance practice, and to confess our and repent what we've done. So this is important when we talk about shame and repentance practice. One is the shame that we have from things that we've done, and you can go all the way back to when you're a little kid, and maybe you were teasing a dog or teasing a cat or harming somebody or doing something naughty, taking something that didn't belong to you. I'm not even going to get into the adult level where it starts to get even more and more serious. But when you see it, you see that this conduct was shameful, and it brought harm, and it brought more ignorance and hatred into the world. And so you understand, instead of helping people, instead of being someone that stands up for virtue, you were going the other way, and that your actions cause harm to others. And so when you do that, you feel bad, because you cannot just go, okay, from now on, I'm just going to practice this way, without looking back and saying, I still have all this baggage, but if I look at it and I repent this, then this barrel that I have is clean. It can receive the new practice, and without having any lingering issues that come back, or recurring issues that can come back, because there's still residue of the poor wine that had been put into the barrel from before, and making it sour. So this is very important for us to understand this part. And so then we continue. Where were we at? I rejoice in every virtuous action by anyone in any direction, by learners and by those who need to learn more of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Something really strange, something very disappointing, that when people start getting better at the practice, for some reason there's people that want to pull them down, and they I don't understand that. We can't rejoice in the merits of others. If someone has a realization, I would say fantastic. If they have something, I will praise them. Even in the interviews that I have with people at a retreat, I will praise where they have gotten to. Even if it's just a little movement, it's still encouraging them. And instead of going, oh, I better not teach this one that much, he's getting that way. Sentha can vouch for this, that I don't withhold anything from her. I want her to stand on my shoulders. I freely give anything that I've got to her right away. And it is in this way that we should practice, to uplift each other. there's a kind of a story. I'll kind of change it around, to give you an idea of what this means. And it's like you have a bucket full of crabs. And so somebody's going by at the market and saying, oh, what kind of crabs are there in this bucket? And they say, they're Buddha crabs. What? They're Buddha crabs. What do you mean? Oh, all of those crabs in the bucket, they're practitioners. But as soon as one tries to crawl out and get to the top, the other ones pull them down. This is the wrong attitude. We have to rejoice in the merits of others, no matter whether it's somebody who's just beginning. I rejoice in that, and I rejoice in those who have had realizations, and I push them to have realizations. Sometimes I'm pushing you guys so hard, you may get a call from me or something. What are you doing? Nothing. Well, that's the point. Get going, work harder, practice harder, give me a report. I want to know what you're doing. They go, oh no, it's Gilbert again. He's going to ask me, what I'm doing. But it's because I'm pushing you. I want to push you. I want you to get ahead. Why would we put down people who are teaching the Dharma simply because we don't understand where they're at or what they're doing, or they could represent a threat? What threat? Doesn't even make any sense. But we have to rejoice. Believe me, the more you rejoice, the more you support the people around you. Don't worry about, that this one, Gilbert said, had a realization, or this one did this. Shifu, sometimes he was very careful about that, because he knew that if he mentioned things like that about people, people would start attacking him, and which happens. And people start attacking you, trying to discredit you. Why? Why should they do that? But it happens. We have to turn that around. We have to aspire. It doesn't matter if somebody's learning the ABCs. If they get it right, I rejoice. And I push them to go further. Now get to the next level, and pushing them in this way. We give and encourage people, to continue with their aspirations. This is important. This is not a contest to who's the first one that gets through wins. In the end, there may be a billion times a billion of people waiting at the very end to turn off the lights in this samsaric world, simply by virtue of the vow that they will deliver everyone. Have you ever thought about that? It's kind of like trying to travel through LA on a Friday afternoon, the major traffic jam, but we'll all get through. It doesn't matter. There's no premium for getting there first. The only thing is, if one gets there first, they get back in line around and to do it again and keep doing it. So how many times do you do it? It's the same as, for instance, if someone is in a circle that you're doing slow walking meditation, and they get impatient and they want to go around the person that's in front of them because they're going too slow. What for? You're going around in a circle. There's no place to go. So we understand the only place to go is to come back, so that we can deliver more sentient beings. So this is something very important, that we rejoice as a Sangha. All of us, we look forward to all of helping others in everything that we do, whatever we do. And we do it in, hey, cousin so-and-so just got accepted, to graduate school. Great. I'm very happy for them. So-and-so just, got married. I'm happy. This person did this. We show encouragement, for whatever it is, and to assist people. We don't try to drag people down. And if we try to drag them down in the samsaric world, then all the more so we're going to do that when we hear that somebody has has achieved, quote unquote, a certain level of understanding, and then we want to minimize that or challenge them or attack them or tell them that they really didn't get it or they're just full of baloney. This is so sad. So sad. So this is why this is so important for us, so that we can get on and move on to delivering sentient beings, not fighting amongst each other. All let me see. All beings who are lamps for the world, and those who have just attained enlightenment, I beg you, will think lovingly of us, turning the Dharma wheel to help protect the world. And here, this is a requesting that the Buddhas teach, and this is important. It's saying those who have achieved something, please teach that to others. Master Sheng used to say, if you if someone asked you what pork tasted like, but you never tasted pork, but you've smelled it cooking, at least you could teach that. And it is in this way that we work, that even though we're not an enlightened Buddha, we teach what we know. We help others. Sometimes people, they are afraid to teach, because it is they feel insufficient to be able to teach others. And then even worse, so other people will say, don't you dare teach, show me your papers first, like Buddhist ice. You have to have papers. If you don't have papers, you can't teach. That's baloney. If you teach from your heart, if you really, really teach from your heart, you don't need papers. You just don't overteach. Don't teach what you don't know. But at least if you know how to put your hands like this and show people how to meditate, that's something. If you're following the sutras, if you're following a well-known advisor, then do that. You don't have to call yourself a teacher. There's no need to do that, but you can certainly guide people. There's nothing wrong with that if whatever you're presenting is consistent with Buddha Dharma, then that's fine. If it's Mahayana Buddha Dharma, that's fine. At least you can present them that. Maybe you've smelled this pork cooking. You can tell them about that. This is important for us that we understand, because we, although we are not full-fledged enlightened Buddhas, nevertheless, this mind that you're using right now is the Buddha mind. We're all in this together. So let's help each other. We're not trying to hide it, so you don't have people find out. When I was in the Qigong, sometimes the masters, they would mask what they're doing or hide it so that people wouldn't steal it from them, because that gave them their prestige, was that they could do what you couldn't do, and so they would hide it. And so, but this is not the right way. Whatever I pick up, I immediately pass it over to you. Some people go, I have no idea what Gilbert's talking about. It's okay. Little by little, remember, it's going to be the future in a present past in no time at all. So you're going to get it. It's money in the bank. Just save it up. It's going to be there, and it's going to connect together. So why shouldn't we present the Dharma to others, and we share? So when we talk about the Buddhas, we're talking about everyone, that we please be generous with your time. Be generous to bring people along. Even if you're still in the ABCs, you can present the ABCs to others. Even if you only know A and B, I haven't got to the next one. I'm not quite sure. C. You can still teach them that. Not bad. It's okay. We do this for the sake of learning how to help others, and to put down our own ego and do this, and put down our insecurities. You already are Buddhist. Not bad, right? And so that's pretty good. No, but So when you talk to other people and say, what did Gilbert teach you today? And you said, oh, he said we're all Buddhas. You go, really? And you go, you don't look like a Buddha. Oh, maybe because you're fat, but other than that, you don't look like a Buddha. It's okay. Don't get upset. People are going to say things like that to you. No. It's all right as long as you told them. All you've done is you're inoculating them. You're just giving them this pre-COVID shot that will hopefully make them immune in the future. Little by little, it will work for you. With sincerity, I make a humble request of the Buddhas. For those who are about to enter nirvana, so they're there and they're going to enter nirvana. Shall I stay or shall I go? And it says, remain forever in the world for the benefit and the welfare of all. And it is said in this way in the Asta Sutra that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas reside in the samsaric world for the weal of the world. Weal, W-E-A-L, is for the benefit, the nourishment of the world. And it is in this way that we should think of this world. Now, let me see. I humbly make offerings inviting all Buddhas to stay with us and guide all beings to the other shore. All the merit and joyous praise, all repenting, I offer to the path of awakening. So here it's saying, I'm humbly making these offerings, inviting the Buddhas to stay with us. So, and this again is requesting that they remain in the world. This merit is transferred to the three jewels, to their nature and form in the Dharma realms. And so we're going through and we're talking about to always study the teachings of the Buddha. So we want to always be studying. This is important for us to see things in this way. Let me see. To study the dharmas in order to teach it. And one of them on a different list said that. And I think this is a good thing to say, is that we study for the benefit of presenting it to others. And this is very, very important for us to understand how we do it. We're not trying to study it so that we can gain some scholarly merit with it. We study it for the benefit of helping others. And I no longer study to try to glean something out for my own self-cultivation. It doesn't work in this way. To me, I have no interest in my own self-cultivation at all. Like zero interest, whether I get it or I don't get it. What matters to me is whether you get it. That's what matters to me. It isn't in this way. It's something that's important, and it's evidenced by a story with Master Sheng and his master Dongshu. And Master Dongshu asked him about him coming to the U.S. And when he asked him about him coming to the U.S., the Master Sheng says, "I'm going to go there to teach the Dharma." And so Dongshu just looks at him because he's going, "You're going to teach the Dharma?" Like say, nobody can teach the Dharma. And he said, "Oh, don't worry, Shifu, I'm not really going to teach him the Dharma. I'm just going to play like I'm teaching him the Dharma." He's kind of switching from conventional language into Chan. And so he could see that Dongshu, who was really a very stern master, just looking at him like that. And so when he does it, he's just looking at him. And then Shifu goes, "Don't worry, master. I won't let you down." And Dong Shu said, "Let me down? Let me down? What? I have my own place here. I have people following me. I don't have to be worried about you letting me down. You don't let yourself down." And it's in this way that a master talks to his students, no longer concerned about himself, no longer concerned about whatever quote unquote attainments he's received in the samsaric world, but he's concerned about all of you not letting yourselves down. And when we talk about the self, here it's not the same self as self like ego, it's your self nature. Since you have Buddha mind, it is your self nature that you will let down. So if you go around again, and you're there and you die and you don't get it, you just come back again. You're going to come back again anyway. The only difference is that you don't remember what happened. Why did I end up like this? No, because you were ignorant about what you were supposed to be doing here. But Buddhism gives you an opportunity to be able to see things as they are, be able to measure things coming out via body, speech, and mind. Okay, and then it says this merit is transferred to the three jewels to their nature and form in the Dharma realms. This part's very, very deep, and it's talking about the two truths are perfectly woven together into the samadhi seal. So here it goes into a very, very deep understanding. Let me see if I have something that can help you with this part here. Because the idea of this samadhi seal is the idea of ekayana, just mind. And so the seal is one, it's not like the Dharma seal. Samadhi seal is just simply this single-minded purpose that initially evolved over the centuries into the samadhi seal, which is just mind, the sealing of the mind. But if you look at it, so it's saying from the beginning, this merit is transferred to the three jewels. So it's saying to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, in a way that they're not separated at all. So all of this merit we're offering in this way to all, including sentient beings that are in there. And these two truths are the truths that are very, very important of noumenon and phenomena. And so this is coming from two different schools. One of them is the Madhyamaka school of the two truths, and the other is connected because it was the Huayan school used the Flower Adornment Sutra quite a bit. So you'll see this idea of noumenon and phenomena, these two truths of the apparent reality, which is what we are in, which is a dream, and absolute reality, which is where this dream appears in. And they're woven together and into the samadhi seal. This is something that I've mentioned many, many times now, but it is that a bodhisattva, and actually in the Sutra Perfect Enlightenment, the Universal Worthy mentioned this about that a bodhisattva has the one foot in the apparent reality and the other in the absolute reality. So it straddles the two of them. That's why they're saying they're perfectly woven together, and so that there is not a falseness to them. But the falseness is not that there's two truths, apparent and actual, but the truth is that it is singly the samadhi seal of mind that's there. There's no other no other mind that one aspires to get. It is just simply that in this moment it is seen in this way. When this happens, then a bodhisattva can come back around and come back into this world again, but with a marching orders, with an understanding of the function of being reborn into this world, not by the karma that's bringing them in a negative way, but in the good karma of pointing in the right direction to re-enter the samsaric world for the purposes of helping others. So you see people, and many of you are listening to me now, so I'm preaching to the choir, but you're back here because you're learning that this is the way that one practices. That you're no longer practicing for yourself, you're practicing for what you can do with others. So the universal worthy said that a bodhisattva comes into the world to facilitate the Dharma practice. They're in the world, but not of the world. And that's a big difference. When we're in the world, we're tossed and turned by whatever karma comes around. We have no idea where we're going to be spun next. But when we are not of the world, but in it, we understand the reason why we're in this world is to deliver sentient beings. So we have this function coming from the understanding and the interweaving of the two truths that illuminate the mind, enable the mind to use its function to be able to awaken this illusory sentient beings, the Buddhas that are caught in the guise of illusory sentient beings, and release them from this so-called suffering, which is only a dream. And let me see, there was something I wanted to read to you about this. I can find it. The ocean mudra samadhi, sometimes referred to as ocean seal samadhi, as one pointed attention to be at peace, to be at one. In the great way of going beyond, no endeavor is complete without being one with the myriad of things. And this is from a site called Buddha Eye. When a life comes into question and old words no longer make any sense. So it's saying when life comes into question, saying when you're not really sure, is this really real? And the words don't no longer make sense, like the ocean mudra turning us toward, turning us whole, embraced by the whole way around, the fabric of justice, the Pure Land, where are all welcome. No one need go hungry. So this is kind of this turning of the mind's eye to see things as they really are, not as they appear to be, but this interlocking and understanding from where all of these appearances come from. They come from mind. Even the mistakes come from mind that are there. The ignorance is not your ignorance. Never been your ignorance. Ignorance came before you. The ignorance is the ignorance of mind itself. But the ignorance is not truly an ignorance because it's simply an illusion, a phantasm. But because the mind is so incredibly powerful, incredibly infinite, incredibly vast, that even if the mind for one moment blinked, because it's so powerful, it can create billions of Buddha worlds. To us, when we compare it to, let's say, someone that's a trillionaire, and then we go, oh, well, we would think, oh, we're so fortunate we can buy a very expensive house. To a trillionaire, they could buy, 1,000 houses like that without even going no further than their own front pocket. The Buddha vastness is in the same way. When we begin to see things in this way, why choose being stuck in samsara? Choose the Buddha. And so then we get to the next part, and it says, the ocean of merit is measureless. I vow to transfer it and not hold anything for myself. If any human, out of discrimination and prejudice, tries to do harm to the path of liberation, may their obstacles be fully removed. And this is something that we transfer merit to everyone. I transfer merit, and then this is kind of interesting because it says, if any human, out of discrimination and prejudice, tries to do harm to the path of liberation, so many people can get in the way. They can discourage people. They can say, don't follow this person because they're a bad teacher. Or they can say, don't believe that. You need to believe this, or whatever. Or they just simply create an environment of hate. All the more so, we need to transfer merit to them because they really, really need it. This world needs it, and we're not, as Bodhisattvas, going to get out of here until even those sentient beings causing such suffering in the world, killing people, justifying it because they don't have papers, killing people, justifying it because they're not from the same religion, killing people because they think that they don't want them to have what they have, even if it's a bomb or whatever. I'm not making any references to any particular situations. It seems like that's happened, in the world from the beginning, certainly relevant now. But we transfer merit. We have to learn how to transfer merit to others, undiscriminating. Not just transfer merit to the people that you like, but when you can transfer merit to those that have caused you harm, that have caused the world harm, that are really in this world the lowest, foulest of beings. We clean the barrel out. That belongs to them, but our transfer of merit is pure and undiscriminating. This is powerful, powerful practice. This is Samantabhadra. This is why his practice is so important, because when we listen to the Dharma and we understand the Dharma, but if we don't put it to use, what good is it? If we don't really understand its true value, what good is it? And it is in this way that we are constantly checking and elevating our practice to a higher and higher level, perfecting the practice, not copying it and trying to play like a Buddha or a Bodhisattva, but recognizing that this is our nature, our original face. This is not very easy for us to understand, but in due time, it will come. And even if I'm totally wrong about this, doing good to other people, how wrong is that? Helping other people, how wrong is that? Being patient with people, forgiving people. Then if that's wrong, then what would be right? Thank you all for listening. I hope that you can incorporate this in whatever you learn into your daily life. You will see that your life and the life of people around you will change dramatically. So please, I welcome your questions. Thank you.
Gilbert, would it be possible to turn your light on? It's very dark.
What do you need?
It's very dark. If you could, would it be possible to turn your light on?
Oh yeah, I don't know what happened. I wanted to change it. I noticed it was getting like dimmer. Thank you.
It's the daylight savings time too.
Daylight savings time. What happened? You know exactly. That's what happened. Was it was okay when the lights were on, but as I was talking, now it got darker. But let me see if I can get
No,
it.
it's good. It's fine. I think no, it's not. It's pretty good.
All right. Pulling on the wrong one anyway. Hey. Now you started going. Here it is. Down.
Thank you very much.
Now I look like a ghost. Okay, that's better. I don't know why the background is so dark. That's why the difference in the cameras. Okay, it's a little better. Sorry about that. It was like I was totally in the dark during that time. Okay, questions? No question. This is unusual. Where's Sam when I needed him? Oh, there's Shloka. I was going to say the other one was Shloka. Go ahead.
Hey, Gilbert. Thank you so much. I had a question with respect to the third vow. So, the strength of my faith penetrates deeply into every atom of all Dharma realms. And I've been wondering, how can we begin to open ourselves up to the different realms? Because I feel like I've been so conditioned to living in the human realm and thinking that that's all there is, but I know now that it's not like that, and that there are other realms and there are beings that are suffering there as well. And I just wonder, how can one begin to open up to that and begin to contemplate that?
Okay. You have to speak up a little bit louder too. I'm using my laptop and the volume's not very high and my hearing's not that good. So
Oh,
the
I'm
essence.
sorry.
No, it's all
Yeah.
right. Go ahead. Speak the last
Yeah.
part of the question.
Well, just that I've come to realize that it's not just the human realm, and there are other realms where there are beings that are suffering in other realms as well. And I've been wondering, how can one open themselves up to that and begin to contemplate that?
Yeah, excellent. The thing is that um, it's just opening up, just like you were talking about. It is opening yourself up to those worlds and using your contemplation. So when you sit to contemplate, what you want to do is to have this um, I'm trying to tell you something that's beyond words, but you have to use your heart to when you're contemplating giving merit, to open it up so that your mind can see other sentient realms. So, for instance, you can start it in a way in which let's say you want to give somebody who's in the hospital and you want to transfer merit to that person. So you transfer merit to that person, you try to put them as an object in your mind to be able to receive this well-being and blessings and transferring of merit, whatever you did, and not just whatever you did, but in learning how to harness these blessings and universal energy to be able to send to them. Maybe I say universal compassion that you send to them, and in this way, then you go, well, really, there's other people in that hospital that have the same problem, so I want to give it to them as well. So then you have this one here, and then you have the many behind them that are in the same situation. And then you say, well, then there's other hospitals that have the people there, and then boom, it multiplies, and then you keep going in this way, and you can even go and say, in the future there's going to be people, in the past there's been people. I will transfer merit to all of them. This begins to break down your conception of that the limitations of your mind. As you begin to do this, then you can say, I want to feel the suffering of sentient beings. So you can feel the suffering. As you're feeling the suffering and trying to help others that have a suffering, then what happens is that you see, there's these beast of burdens that are have such a hard life, or a rabbit in the field that's always afraid of being dinner. It or even the hawk that's constantly hungry, looking for something to tear apart, and how horrible of a life it is that it has to devour an animal to stay alive. And you see anything that's there, that has a sentience to it, and then it expands out. You feel the ghost realm, and you begin to understand what brings them into the worlds that they're in. So why has a person become a ghost, or a hungry ghost? How do people end up in this way? How do people end up in hell? That one's kind of a pretty clear one in terms of how you do things. But in the ashura and also in the heaven realm, and the fleetingness of each and every one of those realms, that one can go up the ladder of the realms, many, many times. We don't know that. But when we see that, then we have this expansion of the 6 realms, plus all the things in different categories. The mind, the heart mind, is capable of perceiving that. It's capable of perceiving all those categories and subcategories and being able to touch them. Your sentient mind cannot do that, but your true heart can do that. It can reach that far. It is incredible. That's why it can go beyond this Buddha realm of Shakyamuni Buddha realm to other Buddha realms and all of the sentient beings in them. It is infinite, incredible. It's vast. When we do that and then we come back, we realize how infinitesimally small this world is. Just like they said, just this mote of dust is the entire universe. And when we see it in that way, it changes things. It liberates the mind to be able to harness the power of the mind, realizing that everything was created, all these worlds were created by the mind itself. So we're no longer transferring merit and blessings from our own selves. We are transferring merit from mind that's harnessed to give that. That's why it's so powerful to turn that corner to be able to embody Guanyin Bodhisattva, because in this kind of an embodiment, then the power to make changes is tremendous. The power to transfer merit is incredible, and it works. But this is how we do it: is you have to continually expand the mind, expand the consciousness. Don't be limited by the intellect. Don't be limited by the what you perceive to be the natural rules, that I can't use my brain in this way to hold on to things. Don't be fooled with that. You are not one that has a linear processing. The processing of the Buddha mind is every single consciousness of all sentient beings are connected. It's hard for us to understand that. But it is in this way. I feel like I'm in a tunnel. and I feel like I'm in this disembodied face, but forgive me because it's very strange. But in any case, let me do something. Maybe this will help. It's kind of late. Ta-da! That worked, right? A little bit. It's just that the meter on the thing was reading, so I just ended up with a Casper face. Okay, sorry about that. It was beginning to bug me. But look at it, it's going back again. It's even making its own. I'm not doing any of that. It's doing itself. All right. So in any case, that's how you do it. So hopefully you'll understand. Practice that. I taught that to Sentha a long time ago, and she really picked up on it very quickly. Like instantaneously. So in any case, hopefully it will work for you. Okay. A good question. Jake, speak loud, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go. Yeah, just speak loud, like if you're shouting across the street.
I also wanted to ask a little bit about transferring merit. Um, it feels like it can be, to me, sometimes a sort of discriminating thing where I am sort of picking some object to transfer merit to. And even when I try to follow your instructions to transfer merit to the people who seem like they need it the most, like you kind of touched on at the end, then I feel like there's like still this like discriminating aspect saying like, oh, those are the people who I'm judging to be like less good or something like that. And I'm just wondering if you could say a bit about, um, whatever is going on there.
What's going on? Where?
Just with like this idea that transferring merit is somehow discriminating.
In the world? Or I'm not sure I follow you.
Or just that I have to select somebody to transfer merit to. It feels like there's kind of this, um,
Well, you you use your heart to do that, and you you can always have somebody to transfer. In the evening when I go to sleep, I begin to transfer merit to my family, to my students. You all get transferring the merit in the evening from me, blessings. So I'm always giving you blessings and to watch over you. That's how I can try to collectively keep you all in the heart. So that in that way is if there's something happening, I can have a kind of an advanced awareness of something, to talk to people or to sometimes even warn people about things. But you are just constantly blessing people. Just always be blessing. Don't think you can't do it. Don't think, well, I'm not a reverend, I'm not a priest, I'm not, a master, only they can do that. No, everyone can do that. So don't limit yourself. Just wherever it's needed. If you see a person that's old, yesterday I saw, or a couple of days ago, I saw a person that was at the beach and his body was so swollen. It was like grotesquely swollen, and obviously he was extremely sick. Um, but as I'm passing him, I'm transferring merit to him, transferring blessings, trying to send healing energy to him. So whoever you see, if you see an old person that needs help, they're by themselves or whatever, you're always thinking of that. You're always aware. Sometimes it's mental blessings, but sometimes it's actual action that's there. One of the last times when I was in Singapore, I was in the city, and there was this a couple, very old. The man was in his 80s, very frail, and he was pushing his wife up this ramp. And I saw them, and no, I'm not a spring chicken, but at least the two of us could push her up the ramp. And this is also a blessing that you manifest. You don't try to do it just for the sake of speaking about it now, but it just manifests naturally, this compassion that we do. We always are demonstrating in this way. And I don't even think the man could be able to push her up without possibly suffering a heart attack. So it's something that you do wherever you see people that are suffering or need of assistance or needing of some kind of a push or some favor, then you manifest it through the body, speech, and mind. After a while, it's second nature. It's really that way that you are just constantly giving blessings to everyone, and and you don't need to think about it anymore. It is just your nature to do that, and the more you harness it, the more you expand it. And this goes back to Shloka's question. You have to hone that. You have to practice that. You have to be this beacon of blessings and transferring of merit to help people. When you can do that, then that is an important aspect. Again, that was one of the 10 vows to do that, is how to. And I'd started doing this in this group, and I probably even mentioned the Chicago group was so interested in transferring merit. I think you hail from that same group to a certain extent, right? Were you connected with Chicago? So anyway, there was a great interest there in transferring merit, and I realized nobody really talks about those things, and they don't teach how to transfer merit. People will say, "Oh, we transfer merit, we do this," but there's no teaching of the mechanics of it, and I think that that's important. So your question is very, very important as to the mechanics of how to do it. But one, you have to have faith, you have to have trust, and you have to derive power from your own intrinsic power, like Master Han Shan says. This deriving power from your own power is what generates the practice of a bodhisattva. When you do that, then you generate this practice. I think Master Sheng said, to vow to deliver others before yourself is the initial generation of the bodhi heart of a bodhisattva. So once we begin to make this kind of a Mahayana vow, then everything else kind of fits in together. But don't think, is this hocus pocus? Is this make believe or whatever? Trust me, it is not in that way. You can make connection far beyond what you perceive to be able to do with your sentient mind. The mind, when it's not fettered by obstructions, is so incredibly expansive and vast. It's able to do that. It is that which begins to reveal the true nature of mind. So keep practicing in this way. If people have questions about transferring the merit, by all means, it's a very, very powerful part of our practice that we have to incorporate. If we don't practice that, then we are really missing out on that part. I think I had talked about it last time we were here. There was something I was talking about, and one of the practices was transfer of merit. And again, this is something that you practice on a daily basis, on every moment that you're around. If you hear there is a plane crash, or there's people that are in a storm, or whatever, you give merit. Somebody is ill, you transfer merit, you transfer blessings. The more you do this, the more powerful it becomes, and the more that the heart can hone in and direct it. Remember, everything is about directing the mind. So the more you can direct the mind in this way, the more powerful it becomes. All we're doing, all our practice is directing the mind. We direct it. Who's directing it? Mind is directing mind, not us. Mind directs it. And in this way, everything then fits neatly in, like they were saying, they interlock so easily because we begin to understand how mind works. So that's good. Okay, next question. Yeah, Santha.
I'm asking on behalf of Arvind, whose mic is bad. Asking on behalf of Arvind. The question is, how should the practitioner fully accept and experience their own suffering if they feel doing so makes them open up to the suffering of others?
I think it's something that when we understand that we have suffering, that if you can mute yourself. Thank you. I think that when we begin to understand that there's a suffering, and we understand that the cause of suffering is clinging to the idea of a life, ego, personality, or being, and we understand that, then our practice then no longer is it directed towards us trying to remove our suffering. We realize that suffering is illusory, and that we understand suffering because we were good sufferers. And sometimes I'll say that Gilbert has a black belt in suffering. He's a really good sufferer if I let Gilbert step forward and do that. But we put that down. We put down the idea of this kind of an ignorance, and start realizing that there are many other people that have this kind of an ignorance about suffering. Of course, if people are in physical pain, if they're in emotional pain, they're going to feel bad about whatever the conditions are there. We could only do our best to alleviate as much of this kind of a condition in this world, and try to make it better or mitigate it for others. But the true cure is to realize that there is no suffering. But when we're talking to people and they're dying, we cannot tell them, oh, if they've never heard this before, there is no suffering. There's no, that's not the time when we begin to present things in this way. But we stop focusing on ourselves, and we start focusing on the true cure of suffering, which is wisdom. And we begin to find ways to impart wisdom to others. This wisdom then is the path to a bodhisattva, the path to become Buddha. All Buddhas have come this way. So that's why the Asta Sutra said, that all of these Buddhas, their mother is wisdom. And so we continually manifest wisdom and present wisdom and demonstrate wisdom in everything we do. Then whatever we encounter suffering, we can find the proper way to assist people in the suffering. Of course, because sometimes people, their karma is so hard, we cannot take away all of their karma and miraculously cure them. Sometimes that can happen, but it's not something that you can go and replace your healthcare system with it, or give people one pill fits all. It doesn't work that way. That's why we talk about the 84,000 ways to practice, because we may only need one, but we need 84,000 to present to other people. But when we practice in this way, then that's true work in terms of dealing with the suffering. Okay. Edil.
Hi, Gilbert. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the lecture. We missed you. So I got a little confused, and I wanted to share this with you to see if I'm on the right track. But I'm kind of confused about transferring merit is for whose liberation? Is it for the person who's transferring it, or is it for the person, let's say in this case, who is being I mean, who I mean, the merits are being transferred to? Because in the karmic principle, each being must liberate themselves, right? So we are not actually liberating anyone. And when we are transferring merits, who is being liberated?
Your question is now pointing you to where the practice really begins, as Master, I think Dao Shin said. Now we're coming to the inconceivable portion of the program, and that's that we understand the reason that all of this works is because everything manifesting is a dream, but that's only part of the answer to all of this. So we know that there is no real suffering because it's a dream, but it is not our dream. It's not us that we are dreaming. We are a dream. And so we are not mind, but mind nevertheless manifests through a sentient being. But there is actually no sentient being to suffer. We don't understand that. But when we understand, and the manner in which you will understand this is by realizing that everything is created by the mind. Always come back to everything's created by the mind. So when we understand everything's created by the mind, this is the universal panacea to suffering, the universal cure to suffering, is to realize that which created the suffering, which created the mind, which created the samsara, is mind. Mind created this world. It's powerful enough to create a world that even it's an illusion. It is a big, big illusion, or appears to be a big illusion, even though it may only be in the whole Dharma realm, the smallest molecule within a mote of dust. But it is powerful enough, and it's vast enough. You can imagine if this samsaric world is only a molecule in a mote of dust, how powerful, how vast mind is. But this very mind that you're asking the question is that same mind. And so when we understand that, then we understand how to harness the power of the mind to make it work in the right way. And so that's something that we can apply to change the environment around us, and it works. And it works. And you just have to have that kind of a faith that to do that. But we as an individual have very little power to do anything. But as mind, it's limitless. It's so incredibly, incredibly powerful to do that. So when we see it in this way, then we understand that everything is, since it's created by the mind, we can take away the suffering too. And it's powerful enough. If it's powerful to create a world of ignorance and suffering, it's certainly powerful enough to change that and make that world into a pure land. This is our faith and hope and our understanding of how things work. Do I transfer merit? Not anymore. Initially, when I was practicing, I did. Now, the heart mind, the Shin, transfers the merit. I am seen by mind as I as mind sees you as an illusion. But mind also sees beyond the illusion to see the Buddha that asked the question. So this is a part that's very, very interesting, because then you have to see that it is this Buddha mind asking a Buddha mind about mind. But when seen from the samsaric side, it's a dream asking a dream about a dream, because it's leaning towards apparent reality. But when it leads towards the absolute and sees things in the absolute, it sees it without any obstructions. It can go into the samsara and understand, but as I mentioned, a bodhisattva works within samsara, but is not of samsara. So it can manipulate a corporal body and move this body around to different places. In this day and age, I'm kind of moving it all over the world. And it goes, and sometimes it reluctantly goes because it's getting old, but it goes and presents the Dharma, but the body doesn't present the Dharma. Certainly, like Master Ling Chi said, my liver or pancreas can't teach my stomach anything. And the stomach can't learn the Dharma. So there's no magic to this body. It is the heart speaking to the heart of all of the practitioners that where our true practices. When you begin to see things from this viewpoint, right view, then it all begins to make sense. That's when I think there was one where it said, it appears to be a contradiction, but it isn't a contradiction. Once one understands mind, then those contradictions are no longer there in that way. So just keep practicing. You're right where you should be. You need to contemplate this.
Thank you.
Okay, Rosalind.
Amitabha, Master Gilbert.
Amitabha.
I fully understand when I see something, a person is having problems, I quickly transfer merit. But when a normal day that I don't see anything, I was told that the best time to pray and transfer merit is 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night. So some of my friends,
is that
true?
Pacific time, Eastern time, or your time?
Local time. Local time.
Local time.
Is there any
That's
truth in it?
local time. Where did you get that?
From a Taoist practice, and several of us, we set alarm clock so that we know it's closing 9, so we quickly pray. So I'm just wondering whether is it ritual or any truth. Yeah.
Just tell them every time is Buddha time. No, wherever you're at, it's Buddha time. Past, present, future. All of that is such. Even in the past, there is merit that I have transferred or yet to transfer into the past. If I remember to transfer it, that they have already obtained the benefit from my transferring the merit from this present moment. I'm not worried about whether I transferred it 9 a.m. and 100 years ago or 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Now it doesn't matter. It is just in this way. So when you begin to see things, I'm not so concerned about the time when I do it. The best time for me is when I feel it. And so, I mean, when I transfer merit normally, like let's say, unless it's something that during the day where somebody says, can you pray for this person, they're going in for an operation, then that's instantaneous. I do it before I sleep simply because the autosuggestion or the power of the mind at that moment, when the mind is beginning to rest from the daily activity, I can bring the mind into a very deep samadhi to transfer merit. And that to me is more important, is maintaining this kind of a samadhi. During the day, one should try to practice in a way to maintain a samadhi, but there's times when it can become even deeper, and that's one of the times. But it's a good question. I'm glad to answer that question. So anytime you want to transfer merit, it's fine. Okay. If you want one time to transfer it that you feel is good, so be it. But don't limit yourself. And so I have to wait, to this time to transfer merit. Okay. It'll still go. All right. Yes, Rachel.
Hi, Gilbert. I'm working on, Amitofu. I'm working on cutting off the mind that desires continuation. Just trying to make my practice being doing that as much as I can throughout the day. And what that looks like a lot so far is just noticing when I'm thinking, noticing when my mind is talking, and just kind of going stop, like letting it continue, but pulling my attention down to my dantian. And I notice when I do that, it is helpful. Like I feel there's some distance between my thoughts then and my awareness. But the sort of awareness on a retreat or that I can experience sometimes just listening to you like this, that expansive awareness that you were just talking about, that usually doesn't come, at least not without specific conditions. So do you have advice for how to bridge that gap?
Just keep practicing the way you're practicing. You're on the path. As I mentioned in the retreat, there's a Thubten Rinpoche, Thubten, and he had mentioned that as one begins to practice, it appears that the mind splits into two, and that he's talking about is that you are now developing an awareness in the mind that heretofore wasn't there, and you were simply operating on consciousness of the ego. But when the awareness is there, then it is aware of the rising of the ego, which is to know the arising mind as the non-arising mind. So it appears to be split in two. In fact, there is no duality there, but it appears that way simply because one is not using the pseudo default program of the ego to do things. So when one becomes aware, it is this severing this mind that desires continuation that Master Yang Chia was talking about. That is important. So you're exactly where you're at, where you're trapping it, you're seeing it coming up, and then you just go back to being aware. That's exactly what you do. All you have to do is just do that 1,000,000 times a day. Okay. And it'll work. You have to practice it and practice it until there's no space that appears between the knot that you make. There's not even one ray of sunlight there to allow some spurious consciousness to enter that's not necessary for whatever your function you're carrying out. So you can do that. So it's all right. If you're walking down the street and you see spring flowers starting to bloom, it's okay. You could be aware of the spring flowers as long as you don't run into a lamppost, because you're looking up at the trees. But if you do run into the lamppost, just ask the lamppost, what is John. But in any case, as long as you can still enjoy the things around you, you can still experience them. That's why one of the sutras said, you don't abandon passions. You just are aware of them. Those belong to samsara. They're naturally there. We don't cling to it, and we don't cling and say, I wish every day was a spring day. Well, that's foolish, right? But if we see it, there's no problem in that. If we see a beautiful painting or listen to a beautiful song, we can enjoy the song, but we don't have to try to hold on to anything, much less hold on to any anger or disappointments or revenge or whatever. All of those things come up and are planted in the brain and then come up as seeds, of consciousness. If you take them, then you start thinking about them, and now you've lost the function of the mind. So it is in this way. Thank you, Maddie. And in any case, it's in this way. So just stay what you're doing. You're right there. I've got to find that quote. I don't know if Sentha, you remember that quote or not. I'll try to find it. I have it somewhere, but it's a wonderful one because it's showing that moment when you are no longer just following blindly consciousness, and all of a sudden awareness appears. And that awareness then separates you from the idea of an ego, personality, life, or being. Okay, good. All right, I'm going to quit there because I'm about, oh, did you have to say something? Go ahead. Go.
One more question from Angela.
Okay.
How did the dream start in the first place? And why is this dream so persistent?
Consistent?
So persistent.
Oh, persistent. Okay. I don't know. I wasn't there. Somewhere in mind, you can imagine. Just imagine, like. Hopefully, my camera will pick this up. And it doesn't have that much ink. You can see the mind, like radiant mind, just a radiant mind. And then all of a sudden, there's this one little spot of ignorance. There it is. In this radiant mind, it popped up. We don't know how it got there. We can't tell. The Buddha can't even tell when that came, that part of ignorance. But it's not real ignorance. It was just a momentary fluke, maybe a blip. But because of that, because the mind is so powerful, just even that tiny little aberration in this radiance of the mind was capable of setting forth billions of Buddha worlds from this one little part. The mind, that little dot I put there, this obviously is not to scale. Where's that dot? It was in there somewhere. There it is. That dot represents all the billions of Buddha worlds. Again, if I really put it in proper scale, you would not be able to see it because it would be smaller than the size of an atomic particle in comparison to mind. It is that small. All of what we call apparent reality, all the things that are there, we don't know how that happened. The reason I tell you this like this is because I want you to release yourself from the scale of this samsaric world of thinking, oh, it takes 100,000 parsecs of lifetime travel to cross the universe. That's nothing. That's nothing. The Buddha, that's such a tiny space that's there, not 1/1000th of the width of a hair to the Buddha, that space. So you begin to see things in a different kind of a dimension, not the dimension of samsara, but the unlimited, infinite dimension of mind itself. But we don't know what happened. I don't know. I've contemplated this, which is quite interesting. How did this happen? How could the mind just have this blip? Like I say, even the Buddha couldn't. But when we understand that it was an aberration, and I don't think the mind got bored. Maybe bored through it, but in any case, it is something that happened. We don't know how, but understand that everything that appears, even though it is an illusion, it nevertheless is part of mind, but it's just a dream. So in the night you dream, is your dream real or not real? What's a real dream? Huh? It's a real dream. It belongs to you, but it's not real, right? And you belong to mind, and you're a real dream. So kind of work that way through it. How about that, Penny? That's very interesting. Okay. As I say, I put forth a lot of trashy talk again today.
Angela asked a clarifying question. that aberration is ignorance, right?
Yes. It's the illusion of ignorance. It's the illusion. In fact, there's no ignorance, no ending of ignorance. Remember? So when we understand that, then we understand everything that's issuing from an illusory ignorance is a dream. This is very wonderful stuff to talk about. This is good stuff. You know, they're good questions. They're not easy questions, but they're questions that I've contemplated and pondered about. You know, I'm honest enough to not try to smoke you and try to make it sound like I know something I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, I don't, no one knows that. But I'm postulating about it because I'm trying to put it in. And every time I try to think about these things, it's like falling into the rabbit hole. And this is a big, big hole, this rabbit hole. And so, it's wonderful. It's wonderful because you're essentially just sucked into this rabbit hole and no longer perceiving the question or contemplating the question from the position of a sentient being, but mind itself. And then the mind is revealing of its own self nature. We'll pick up this next time. There's quite a bit for you guys to work on. I'm very happy to see some new faces. I'm very happy to see some of you that have, been with me for a long time. Stay with me. The thing about you all is that you some of you don't even realize how far you've come, and that's good. You just stay with it, practice, and present to others what you know. Okay, Amitofu. I'll see you next week. Take care. Yes, we got to get a bigger boat, definitely. Take care, Angela. Wow, good.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Amitofu to all of you. We added a whole new